Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Light back at another YouTube video. And in today's video, we're going to be doing What If episode number 8 review here on the channel. Uh, so quickly before we get into this video, I just want to say a few things. First of all, is that there is going to be a spoiler warning ahead. Just warning, quick spoiler warning. There will be spoilers, of course. Of course, with all my reviews, they're mostly spoilers, unless I say non-spoiler, which honestly, I don't think I'll ever do that. Honestly, it's probably all just gonna be spoilers. Uh, yeah, in case one day maybe I'm a journalist or something and I get an early screening of something. But personally, I don't really think that's gonna ever really happen. At least for not for a while. But I mean, yeah. So most of these things will be spoilers. Yeah, and another thing too is I'm not too sure if this video will come out late. I actually am pretty late to this. I usually try to get these out at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but I don't know, maybe it could come out at that time. I'm not too sure. I'm actually recording this like an hour and a little bit of before, but I still gotta like edit and make sure everything's right and all that. So yeah, sorry if it's a bit late. It shouldn't be late by too much, but anyways, let's get into it. So yeah, so the question of the episode was, what if Ultron won? Now, if you're curious what that means, is basically the twist in the episode was basically back in Age of Ultron when Ultron was originally creating Vision. The Avengers actually, I wouldn't say stole is the right word, but I mean, they basically changed Vision to a good guy. I'll just make that sense. They stopped Ultron from going into Vision, in a sense, and Vision became good, and you guys know the rest of the story. But then in this universe, instead now Vision is ended up actually getting controlled by Ultron. Ultron actually put himself into Vision. So yeah, this was like a highly anticipated episode for myself personally, and I gotta say it was definitely a really interesting episode. I can't even wait for the next week's episode too. I think it's gonna be pretty cool too. Uh, yeah, let's go through a quick recap here. So, after last week's episode, as we saw that glimpse of Vision slash Ultron, I guess you would say, uh, I was pretty hyped up. I was curious to see what's going on. I'm thinking maybe they're setting up a whole multiversal type Avengers line, perhaps, or something. And definitely that looks like it's going in this direction. Yeah, so let's get to the recap quickly. So again, we see the whole thing what like went wrong with Vision and whatnot. We then end up seeing Clint and Tasha ended up escaping, because actually when Ultron ended up killing all the Avengers, and then he ended up destroying basically the whole world. I don't know if Clint and Natasha are like the last kind of survivors, in a sense, uh, but that happened. Uh, then we ended up seeing that happen, all of that. And they're basically trying to save the world. And then Ultron ends up seeing Thanos, who comes and basically is trying to start the Infinity War stuff, whatnot. He has all the stones, which is actually, now that I think of it, it's a bit strange. Just for the sense that he had all the five stones, which kind of just makes it a little bit strange to me in the sense that, uh, for example, like how did he get the space stone and like all that. So that just makes me kind of just makes me think a little bit. I think it's just something to do with the plot and whatnot, so it's not a huge problem. But then we ended up seeing he ended up actually slicing through Thanos with the Mind Stone and killing him, and taking the Infinity Stones and basically injecting it into himself, essentially, and creating this awesome suit of armor. I think he's like, personally, in my opinion, I think he's one of the best character design things in all of What If, for example. I think he's pretty cool, pretty good character design and stuff like that. Really cool armor. Uh, and just one of the awesome, like personally awesome looking characters. Not even in the animation form, even in the MCU in general. I think he's pretty cool. So yeah, that happens, and then he ends up actually hearing. He goes off and basically destroys worlds and whatnot. Ends up killing all people. What everyone's basically dead except for I think Clint and Natasha. But I'm not too sure about anybody else at the same time too. So I'm not too sure about that. Then we end up seeing the whole. He ends up actually hearing the Watcher, which is actually quite interesting because we haven't seen the Watcher really interfere that much over these past few episodes or anything. So it was interesting to see him kind of interfere a little bit. He didn't even technically interfere. Technically, Ultron technically just saw him, so it was like more of he had to step in and fight. So yeah, we ended up seeing kind of like the Watcher versus Ultron in a sense, and Ultron was actually beating up the Watcher, which is I don't know. I really don't know honestly if that would really work out, for example. But I mean, yeah, it ended up the Watcher ended up escaping, and basically recruiting evil Doctor Strange or the different type of Doctor Strange. I'm not gonna say he's evil anymore because honestly, he doesn't really scream out evil anymore. Like he's more so just like kind of like broken. I mean, he's just like different. I mean, he still wants to help and everything, and he sees like the error in his ways. So I'm not gonna really call him evil Doctor Strange. I'm gonna more so call him more of like a different type of Doctor Strange, or maybe just even just Doctor Strange. So yeah. Uh, so that happens. Uh, yeah, then we end up seeing a whole thing with Clint and Tasha, and basically Clint dies, and yeah, that's basically what happens. And it sets up for the next episode with Ultron being like, "I have a multiverse or to basically destroy." So this is leading me to like the point where I'm thinking perhaps what we saw at the end of the Party Thor episode was like supposed to technically take place after this episode, for example. So, like, for example, there was the Watcher was maybe gonna go recruit Party Thor, for example. So that's what I'm thinking. Of course, there's only technically I know there's technically a lot of Watchers, but I mean, the one we're following, I'm not too sure if it's like a different Watcher or something, uh, or like the main Watcher they kind of have. I'm not too sure of that. I'm not sure if it's Watu or not. So that's one thing. Again, I think this is leading up to really just possibly like a whole multiversal Avengers, which could definitely be really interesting. Uh, of course, maybe perhaps like I'm thinking episode 9 is just gonna have a big huge thing. As for like the Gamora and Thanos' armor, I'm not too sure about that. I'm maybe they recruit her in the next episode, maybe show a bit of her story or something. But yeah, what I'm thinking probably for the multiversal lineup here is I'm probably thinking of probably of course Captain Carter, probably the T'Challa Star Lord, Evil Doctor Strange, perhaps some characters from the Marvel Zombies universe, uh, probably Party Thor as well. So there's a few different characters. I'm not exactly too sure about all of them. Uh, so yeah, that's one thing as well. Uh, of course, maybe you can have like a like Black Panther, for example, from the Marvel Zombies universe, or like Howard the Duck or something. But I'm not exactly too sure of what's gonna go on, honestly. Maybe even Captain Marvel will come. I'm not too sure. I just kind of have to wait to see it. I'm fully well expecting Captain Carter. That's almost like a definite. I'm 100% assuming it's her. That'll probably end up joining this team, and of course, the evil Doctor or Doctor Strange technically is already in it. So yeah, I'm pretty curious to see what's going on in the next episode. Probably it's gonna be pretty sick and everything. Season finale again, so that's pretty good as well. Uh, yeah. One more thing just before I stop the video. Completely forgot to talk about voice acting wise. So for Ultron, actually, Kevin Spader didn't come back. It ended up being actually Mark Quad. I think that's how you pronounce his name. If it isn't, sorry about that. But basically, he actually voiced Ultron, and I thought, actually, I think he does a pretty good job. Actually, I think he's a pretty good voice actor, in my opinion. I think he's pretty cool. I've seen him from a few other things and stuff like that. He was even Red Skull in the MCU too, so this isn't his first MCU role technically. Uh, so it was interesting to kind of see that happen, of course. And honestly, another thing too is I really liked Ultron in this. I thought he was more or so gone to his comic level power, which is he. If you didn't know, if you don't read the comics or anything, Ultron is one of those villains that is very powerful. Like he's like one of the most powerful villains, and to be honest with you guys, in the MCU they kind of underused him a lot. But I mean, in the comics and everything, he's on par with like destroying the world basically. Like there's actually a few times if you ever seen the new Avenger or I think it's called Next Avengers. Ultron actually kills the Avengers in that. So that's one thing as well. Again, that's one thing as well. This really did show Ultron's powerful power level, I guess, in the MCU. To those like newer viewers that don't really read comics and stuff like that, that's something I did like a lot in this episode too. But anyways, that's pretty much it though. In terms of rating, honestly, I would give it a 10 out of 10. I thought it was actually I'll give it a 9 out of 10 just for some like kind of writing mistakes in a sense. But I mean, if they had more time, I definitely think they'd probably correct it. But I mean, for what it was, it's still good. So I'll say 9.5 out of 10. But anyways, that's pretty much it though. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. And yeah, see you guys in the next video. Peace.